How many times in your daily life do you find yourself in a situation where you've become impatient at someone or something? For instance, you're in traffic and the left lane is moving faster than the right lane, and you're stuck in that right lane, and everybody just keeps flying around you, going 5 to 10 miles an hour faster. Or the person at the stoplight in front of you watch the light turn green, and now they're not moving, so you decide to start honking your horn to try to get them to move. Maybe you've taken the kids to the grocery store and you've told them they can get one item and they ask you for thing after thing after thing. Or even before you leave, you ask them to put on their shoes. They say, okay, I'll do that. And then they start playing with a toy. You ask them again and again, and then you get irritated with them. You find yourself raising your voice with them. They get upset, and now it's unhappiness. Impatience rules our lives more so today than it used to. But patience is more than just a virtue, it needs to be a way of life. I used to be a very impatient person. I would call store after store after store looking for one single item. Whoever had it in stock that answered the phone first, that's where I went to buy the item I was looking for. But I found that led to problems as well. Not only does that lead to medical problems such as high blood pressure, but I was also spending more on that item by just going to one place rather than saying, well, this other store will have it in stock in 2 days, but I saved some money on it. So I was actually spending more money than I should have. So I started learning ways to combat stress. Now, most people wonder, okay, so why is stress and impatience such a bad thing? First of all, stress and impatience lead to more accidents. In fact, Watered Down Collision found that the top 5 reasons for road accidents all stem from impatience of one sort or another. Number 1 was distracted driving. You just couldn't wait to answer that phone call, to send that text message, to change the station on the radio. You got distracted because you couldn't wait until you stopped to take care of what you were taking care of when the accident occurred. Number 2 is called shooting the gap. That's when you're in one lane, you see a gap slightly open up in the other lane, and you just shoot over into that lane and speed up as you do so that you get that spot. That's a major cause of roadway accidents. Number 3 is simple speeding, going too fast. A lot of us have done this from time to time, and I'm not talking you're driving on the highway, jamming out to your favorite song, or talking with your passenger, and you look down, oh, I'm doing 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, I better slow down a little bit. I'm talking, I need to get to this doctor's appointment, I need to get there now, the speed limit's 70, I don't care, I'm doing 80 to 85 miles an hour all the way there. Plain and simple, I don't care what the law says. That will lead to more accidents. Cutting it too close to traffic lights. So for this one, it's more of you're coming up to the light's green, it's just turning yellow, and you're asking yourself, do I have enough time to make it through the light? Should I stop? Or if I try to keep going, am I going to run the red light anyway and not care? These are all choices we make on a daily basis. What to do when you get to that light. The law technically says if it's yellow, you should slow down and stop. However, many of us say, well, the light's yellow, but I've got just enough time to make it into the intersection before the light turns red, so I'm going to floor it anyway. This can happen, and then somebody from the other direction may get that green light right as the light turns red and not pay attention to you, and there's an accident. The 5th one is following too closely. The car in front of you just is not moving fast enough. You want to get around, but the lane next to you is blocked as well. So you're following them very closely, hoping they speed up, they get moving again, and all of a sudden they have to slam on their brakes for some reason. Bam! You rear end them just because you were impatient. Some people will say, well, that's the car in front of you's fault for slamming on the brakes. But again, if you weren't so impatient, you wouldn't be following too closely. You would have more room to react and to hit your brakes and to stop as well. So a lot of you may say to yourself, okay, so I'd be more patient when I drive, life is better. Yes and no. Because patience in the workplace is also very important. In fact, according to Karen Higginbottom, there was a study of 22,000 people in the US and the UK, as well as 10 other countries. Over half of the employees claiming to be experiencing high stress and impatience levels reported they were disengaged from their work. They didn't really care, they were making more mistakes, their productivity dropped. And in comparison, only 1 in 10 employees that claimed low stress and impatience levels reported they were disengaged. And half of that group actually claimed to be highly engaged. So they were being more productive with less errors in their work. The proportion of employees claiming high levels of workplace stress and impatience was 30% in the US. Almost 1 in 3 people in a workplace was saying they feel stressed, they're feeling impatient about something. That's a pretty high number, especially when you consider that technically impatience is something that we can tone down and we can control ourselves. One of the biggest signs of impatience is irritability and anger. When you become impatient, you are much more likely to become angry at someone or something. So basically, when we become impatient, our body creates chemicals and releases those to kind of combat the stress that we're feeling at the time. This also makes the heart work harder and leads to high blood pressure down the road if the stress and the impatience are not handled then as well as other times that you feel them. But luckily, we can learn how to be more patient and feel less stressed. The biggest method that I recommend to anybody that I talk to is meditation. I'm not talking what people think of normally, where you sit here and just go, oh. That's not what I mean. Just taking some time, sitting in a room, no TV, no screens. You can have some quiet music playing, maybe a nice relaxing CD of some sort. I prefer, believe it or not, Enya. Her music calms me down quite a bit, but that's just me. But just listening to that music and just breathing deeply, just taking a breath in and letting it out. Just a nice meditative breathing. You don't have to go into a trance-like state. Just control your breathing, relax your body. Your mind will relax. And then you can ask yourself, why am I so stressed about this? Why am I so impatient that this has to be done right this second? Once you start doing this on a regular basis, you start finding your stressors. You start finding your triggers. So once you identify those triggers, you can tell yourself, okay, this trigger is happening. I can control it. You take a breath, and then you address the trigger rather than just let it get you worked up and get you stressed out. And then you're angry, you're irritable, you find yourself clenching up, your muscles become tense, and the next thing you know, you're mad at the world again. So basically, in conclusion, yes, we are a society of instant gratification thanks to major breakthroughs like the internet and fast working medicines, things like that. We are a society that is based on, I want it now. I want it as quick as possible. I don't want to wait. But waiting can be a good thing, both physical health as well as workplace productivity, as well as on the road. So the next time you're behind a driver and their driving isn't what you would think would be the best driving. They're not driving as fast as they could, or they're driving erratically, or you're stuck in traffic due to circumstances beyond your control. Rather than freak out, rather than get upset, take a breath and ask yourself, is this really worth my health? Is this really worth my happiness? And you'll find that the world will become a much better happier place.